Hey, it's great to have everybody here today. I hope you got something to eat. Feel free during this to get up and get some more to eat, and because we're going to be informal here today. Let's open with a word of prayer. Oh wow, dear God, here we are. Some of us have felt like we've been in the wilderness for 30 years since purchasing our beautiful property. But you've been with us every step of the way, and we've never lost faith that this was going to happen. We thank you, O Lord, for the perseverance of our forefathers and mothers in purchasing the property, the guts of Pastor Will White to push to get the wheels in motion, and Sean's planting leadership and experience to immediately keep the movement going. We thank you for Randy with his engineering and Christian leadership, and the knowledge of the professional colleagues that he has reached out to get us to this moment. We thank you for Lou Costello's financial guidance and assistance with the sale of each of the 3 properties. The backbreaking work of Melody, Sandy, Cheryl, and so many others who led the mammoth task of emptying the church building, and so many decisions on what to do with so much stuff, things, and junk. We thank you for bringing our new friend Tom to us to lead us in planting love and growing community. We thank you for the gifts he brings to share with us to help make our campaign successful. We ask that you give him safe travels back home to Florida, and we look forward to his next visit with us. Thank you, Lord, for those who have come to this meeting, and we ask that you be with us and all the congregation over the weeks ahead. All this we ask in your name. Amen.
I think it's okay. If it starts making squidgy sounds, I'll fix it. Yeah, Ralph's got it covered. Friends, I want to take a minute for anyone who might not know how First FUMC has been structured over the years. Joellen led our church council and was now our administrative leadership team back when we merged those groups together. From when I got here in 2020 through the end of last year, 2025. And as a thank you to free her from that leadership role, she took on another one. And not only is she our lay leader, but she also has been chairing our capital campaign team. And so thank you, Joellen, for that. Thank you all for taking the time, one, to just be with each other for a couple minutes, which I think is something that's good for us, and also to spend some time hearing about the facility that we have planned and how we plan to finance that. As we get to that, I want to invite Joellen to come and share a bit about why she felt called to being in this role, right when she had been set free from the last one. So Joellen, thank you for coming up.
Jim and I moved to Winchester late 2024, did our church shopping, and selected First. And we joined in June of 2015, so we got in on the very end of the cluster meetings that were being conducted to kind of determine what direction should we go. The very last cluster meeting was with the choir, so I got in on that one. Being the A-type personality that I am, it didn't take me long to get involved. And by the time we were having to share the vision meetings in 2019, I was on the building committee. Husband Jim, for those who knew him, not being the A-type personality, only talked when he needed to. So about 2021, I think it was, the church conducted a survey or feasibility study. We sold the first parsonage. We were getting a lot of donations toward the building, and yeah, maybe we could go ahead and kick off a financial campaign and start building. And so Horizons, the company that you're going to hear from today, came and took a look, and see if we were ready to start moving forward. So we had a feasibility study. We got the commitment card, and I was ready to propose a couple $1,000. And Jim spoke first. He said, 30,000. And I'm going, you gotta be kidding me. We have 3 grandkids, do the math on that, you know? So selfish me thinks that, you know, cheating 3 grandkids out of 10,000 each, it was a little much. Then we found that it was too soon to move forward, so that was put on hold. 2023, Jim passed away. 2024, the campaign talk starts again. What was I gonna do? Because I'm now down two incomes from what we had before. I wanted to honor Jim's wishes, but the income was not there. The biggest loss was his Social Security, because my employment with the government under the old retirement system did not allow me to collect his Social Security. 2025, the government rule that had been in effect since the very beginning of Social Security changed with the new Fairness Act, and I was entitled to Jim's Social Security, and now I'll be able to honor Jim's wishes.
Joellen for sharing, and obviously thanks to Jim as well. As we get ready to talk about all of this, Jerry Mayhem helped contribute some stuff. We've been taking up opportunities to contribute to devotionals, right, for this campaign series. And she shared with me what's considered the Native American or Indian version of the 23rd Psalm. And one of the lines that struck me in this is, sometimes it may be very soon, it may be longer, it may be a long, long time, that he will draw me into a place between the mountains. It is dark there, but I'll draw back not. I'll be afraid not, for it is in there between the mountains that the shepherd chief will meet me. So whether it's been a minute or a long, long time, this is something that God has called us to be a part of. And so as we look and hear about what this facility, how it plans to look and what it's going to be able to allow us to continue to do, that to me is one of the most important parts. What it's going to allow us to continue to do. We have proven that this church can exist outside, without walls, and sometimes with like painter's plastic wrapped around it. We have shown that we can exist in a school, and we are here in this beautiful space at the Village of Orchard Ridge, which allowed us to make relationships that are not going away when we choose to use this facility as well. So I just want to lead off with that because it's important to me as your pastor, it's important to me as a person of faith that we see how God has called all of us to be a part of this journey together. And from that mindset, I'd like to invite Randy to come up and lead. Randy has been our building chair for quite some time. He has not been set free from that role yet. He's the one who can tell us about what all these pictures behind him.
His hair was brown before all this.
Yes, it was. No, actually, the gray hair started the morning after our oldest daughter was born. And it just intensified further with 2 more daughters. So you're lucky you got Jason there.
At least you still got her hair.
It's true. Wasn't going to say anything. Well, we appreciate you all being here. And as Sean has said, we're really excited and hoping that everything falls into place and that we can break ground later this summer, early this fall. Try to get things, at least the site work done ahead of bad weather. But at any rate, what I'm going to try to do is explain some of these things to you. These first couple of drawings here are what are called plan views. I don't know how many people have had any experience looking at plans, but this is what you would see if you were suspended up in the air several hundred feet looking down on the property. Okay. This is Apple Pie Ridge Road right here. These are the 2 existing entrances into Apple Pie Ridge Elementary School. And this is the existing entrance into our property, which would be widened and enlarged to satisfy VDOT requirements. This is the new parking lot. What we plan to do is expand that to handle quite a few more vehicles, regular vehicle parking. And we do have a little bit of a loop in here to be able to drop off people under a canopy. There is a canopy that comes out from that building, roughly about 11, I think I've scaled it off of the plans. It's about 11 feet high, so there's clearance in there to get a shuttle or a van or something like that that's a little bit bigger than a regular passenger vehicle. This is the existing picnic shelter where we had our meeting out yesterday. This is the existing well that's up there behind the picnic shelter. This little odd-shaped area is a drain field area. I'll get to that in just a minute. This is the location of the first phase of the building right here. It's a little confusing and it's probably hard to see from where you're sitting, but feel free to come up and look at it, you know, if you want to a little bit. There were some people out there milling around looking at it anyway, so. But they've shown a few shadows in there, and that's the little confusing part of it. You may not be able to see these dashed lines up here are just lines of a possible future expansion. Somebody asked yesterday after the meeting, well, what would you have? And well, we really don't know, but the most natural thing to do is to maybe expand up this way towards the picnic shelter, expand on that bigger room in there, and then future expansion off of there, we may be looking at several more classrooms or something to that effect. Let's see. It's kind of important to note that design work is ongoing right now. The civil design engineer is working on the plans, final plans for all of this. He's not done yet, so what's reflected on here in terms of grades and that sort of thing, that's not what's actually going to happen just right at this time. Positionally, this is where the building is going to go. This is, as I mentioned, this is a drain field. One of the things that we kind of decided after we started looking at all kinds of site work costs was that in order to bring publicly available utilities onto the property, we would have to do what's called jack and bore under Apple Pie Ridge Road because VDOT will not let you cut an open trench in that road. So you have to physically drill below the highway, insert a sleeve, you got to tap into the utility on the other side, bring it through that sleeve, and you can't just do one sleeve for 3 utilities, you got to do 3 separate ones. And it just, from a cost-wise thing, it got to be astronomical, and we're talking probably $500,000 or more to just bring those utilities commercially available. So with a well out there that will provide 15 gallons a minute yield, that's pretty good yield, we will have to put a treatment unit on it to use it for drinking water and so forth, but that's not a big deal. So we're going to be using well water, the existing well for right now, and the drain field has already been evaluated. We had Greenway Engineering do that evaluation. We've got a conventional PERC drain field, which will be less expensive. And that's going to be enough for this first phase of building and attendance. I can't recall off the top of my head what numbers I gave Greenway, but they had to have an average attendance per Sunday and how many people are going to be there during the week, so on and so forth. They've assured me that we'll be able to get a conventional drain field in there to serve this part of the project. So that was a big relief in terms of expense. We would imagine that stormwater, if any of you know anything about the Chesapeake Bay watershed area, stormwater is a big deal in Frederick County. And we are expecting or anticipating that we're probably going to have a stormwater pond down in this corner. It's the low spot on this side where all the development is being done right now. So it's the low spot. It's the natural spot to put a stormwater pond in there. If you work, well, the property actually extends considerably in this direction as well, but it also falls off down there. So if we ever get to developing something in the future, we may have to have another stormwater facility on the other side to capture that drainage. Let's see. Any questions right now, or?
I have a question about parking spaces.
Okay.
I noticed here at the village, parking spaces are wider than typical parking spaces downtown, and I appreciate that. We older folks, we have parking spaces.
Right.
Vehicles are big too nowadays.
Right.
So I was wondering what's been allowed for parking.
That's still in design, but I can certainly mention that we would like to have wider parking spaces in there, if that's a concern. They haven't established, actually, I mean, they're probably gonna say, well, conventional width is like 9 feet or 8 feet or something like that, but I'll take that up with the civil engineer.
We were talking about the maximum capacity right now for the church park.
Maximum capacity?
Like sanctuary, is that what
Oh.
you mean?
Yeah, the gathering space has enough space for 160 movable seats, which is about 2.5 times what the average attendance is here. You know, we're averaging 60 to 70 probably, right?
At 83 today.
Okay, well, that's fine, 2 to 2.5 times as much attendance, but you know what happens if you get that much attendance at a service, then you can go, well, if we need to add another service earlier or later, and you can juggle things that way, so there's some strategy.
I did notice a room for a altar or a podium for the minutes.
Well, we'll get to that in just a second. Right.
So your drain field's where we had our drain field.
Probably, yeah, probably close. Yeah. It's in the clearing. Now it's hard to see, but this was taken from a photo, but there's this big area which is all grown up, and I think that may have been.
That was in the day, that was in the daytime.
Yeah.
We're touring over.
But yeah, we're very, very close to one corner. And what I've done, if it matters to anybody and you want to go out there and take a look, yesterday when we were out there, I put 2 stakes. I put a stake here and a stake here at the rear corners of the building. And they've got a little pink ribbon on them. So don't run over them with the mower just yet. But anyway, in case you want to know where the back line of a building is, since we were up in a picnic shelter, you can just look down and see.
Ralph asked
So-
if you say something, use the mic, so just raise your hand.
Okay, let me move on to the floor plan. This is the floor plan. This is what the inside of the church would look like if you're hanging up here in the air looking at all those rooms. This is the main gathering space. As I said, it's got space for 160 seats. There is this covered entrance here and a vestibule. We do have an audio-visual booth over here that's going to be locked up and secure, so that, because anybody that knows anything about this kind of equipment, it's a pretty substantial investment. So it is going to be under lock and key, but we do have windows in there so we can see what's going on. We'll be able to monitor what's going on during the whole service. We do have a big storage area in here. And this space up here, we don't have specific furniture plans just yet. You know, we just haven't gotten around to figuring out where the altar is going to be, where there's going to be a podium, or whether those things are going to be movable as well. So, let me move over to the kitchen. This is what's classified as a commercial kitchen. Okay, we were initially looking at, you know, just getting a regular residential range and a refrigerator and a few other things like that. And somebody came forward and said, well, you know, what would it take to go the commercial route? And so we went to Winchester Restaurant Equipment, gave them the dimensions, and Aaron Spade over there scaled everything off, put a list together, and I said, you know, we're not going into a commercial bakery business or anything like that, but we want to have a commercial kitchen. And so that's what he has given us, and if any of you want to see what's being included, it's right here. There's a full-blown, detailed list of everything that's in there. And we appreciate the contributions that have gone towards making that possible, because we knew that was going to be a big ticket item. But somebody stepped forward and made that contribution. So, mechanical room, which is going to hold a lot of air handlers. I can tell you that. There's 6 heat pumps for this thing. And so there'll be air handlers in here. This is another storage room where we can take advantage of putting some whatever we have to store. We do have a classroom down here that's big enough we can put a movable partition in there and have a couple of groups of people in there. We have a pastor's office. It's got a meeting table. We have a receptionist office right there. And we do have pretty nice women's and men's rooms. And these things are showers. We've included showers in each, the men's room and in the ladies' room. And that was suggested by someone. We weren't initially going to do that because it's additional expense, and it's of course maintenance to keep those things clean. But if we ever want to host Watts for a week, or if we have a traveling choir group that's coming through Winchester and they want to stop, and it happened downtown many times. So anyway, we've made provisions for that, and there will be full-blown showers in there, that sort of thing. It took a little bit of the storage space out of here is what it did, but it worked fairly well. Yes, ma'am.
Is there going to be like a social room or a dining room that you can have like church meals?
Yeah, it's a multi-purpose room. Yeah.
So the seating and everything's not going to be stationary. It's
No.
going to be like it is here.
It is going to be movable completely. And I would guess that this storage room, we will probably have all the tables and chairs for covered dish dinners and that sort of thing. One of the things that they did not have on this commercial kitchen that I asked them to put in there, and I asked them to take the proofer out. They had a proofer, and it was what's a proofer? It's for proofing bread. You're going to be baking bread. You put that stuff in a proofer, it dries. You know what I mean? Anyway, I just said, now we're not going to be baking bread. So we took the proofer out, and we added I think it's a 5-tray steam table for serving people. So, and that'll be mobile so that you can load it up in the kitchen, roll it right up against the wall. So. Okay, pretty much the building is going to be electric, pretty much. The only gas that we're going to have in there is LP gas for the stoves in the kitchen. And do you have a question?
Looking at your kitchen and all, do you have an outdoor entrance exit to the kitchen?
Yes, there is. There's a door. There's a door right back here at the back of the.
That makes no sense.
Particularly if I'm on kitchen duty.
Right. At any rate, okay, I talked about water coming from the existing well. We're anticipating just putting conventional drywall on the interior of the building, but we really have not selected colors or trim or anything else. We need to make window selections. We need to make a few other selections like the outside, and I'll get to that here. Well, these next two sheets are what are called elevation views, and it's what you would see if you were standing on the ground looking back towards the building. And it just depends where you want to focus. The west elevation is actually the front of the building, so that's what you would see if you're standing on Apple Ridge Road and you're looking back at the building. And what we have here is just just a little bit of thin set stone as an accent around the base. And the architect has approached us and said, well, I was thinking about a board and batten, hardy board type of finish on the outside because it's very, very durable, it's long lasting and low maintenance. We haven't made those decisions yet, and we need to do it pretty soon. So Mark, I'm looking at you. We'll have to be on a Zoom call or a meeting or something with the whole committee to try to make some of these selections. This view is the south elevation, and this is if you were standing on Glentalker Drive over here, looking north. See this little thing there? That's the drop-off canopy that sticks out in front of the building. Same sort of idea. The east elevation is if you were standing in the picnic shelter, looking down the hill, this is what you'd see, and there's the door into the kitchen. And then likewise, if you're standing in the new parking lot looking at the building, this is what you'd see with the north elevation. Again, there's the canopy sticking out to the west. Yep.
Oh, wait.
That's all right.
Who's first?
That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Is the orientation and
To your mouth.
is the orientation and are the surroundings such that would someday permit solar electricity generation?
It could. I mean, we have enough property. We have enough property out there that we could put solar panels in. We haven't done any kind of study to see whether it would support things, but we have 15, a little over 15 acres, and this is only a part of it. This is probably about what, half of it, Mark? Yep. I think over to about here. There's another big chunk of property over on here.
Pass it back.
So yeah.
So, on the right-hand side of the building, is that the addition in the future, or is that the way the building's gonna
No.
look currently?
This,
Right.
that's the way it would look. Yeah, that would be
Okay,
current.
perfect, yeah.
Yeah, it's much taller in the sanctuary. It's going to be a much taller ceiling in the sanctuary, and then it'll come down to more of a conventional height over on this wing. Any other questions?
Do you know if we qualify for any kind of federal funding if we choose to do solar electricity, or do they not do that for religious buildings?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
We're a fan with many questions. We talked about attracting youth or younger people into the church. And we talked about a activity area, a basketball court or whatever. How far in the future are we talking about doing that?
That I don't know. It's not part of the initial plan to get out there.
Okay, so you don't know whether it's going to go north or south or whatever.
I have no idea. Yeah. And to be perfectly honest, I got to wait until I see the grading plans, the actual grading plans, to figure out where we're doing cuts and fills and all that sort of thing.
Okay. Now, the shelter that we already have and the ground between that and the church would be an excellent area to have for picnic gatherings, etc. You may want to talk to the contractor about sculpting the land for use in that area for that kind of use.
Outdoor picnic, open space, is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Gotcha.
It's best to do it early.
Oh, yeah.
You're good sidewalk.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like I said, this is the architect's conceptual plan. The civil engineer's got his own set of plans he's working on. I'm quite sure we'll end up having, in addition to the sidewalk and the parking area, he's probably gonna have something spec'd out for a better sidewalk than what's out there right now going up to the picnic shelter. And
Just
Go ahead, Ralph Scott.
curious,
Wait,
when we left the last church,
Did we leave the bell?
the what?
the church,
There's not a bell, it's a carol.
there was one in the neighborhood. I just wondered because Bird Factory had one out on display outside of Girl Church, it was there yesterday. I thought that-
Yeah.
We didn't have a bell ring, right?
No, the bell, if there was a bell, it was done away with many years ago. And they put a carol on.
Yeah.
Yeah, carol on. It's done.
I'm actually glad you brought that up because somebody asked me, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, somebody asked me, well, are we gonna put the cross up on the wall? And I said, so anyway, Mark St. Amand is tracking down dimensions on that thing. It's in storage. It's still in one piece. It came down in one piece and it's in good shape. I don't know exactly where it's going to hang, but I've already told the architect that, hey, we're going to get you the dimensions, all of that stuff, electrical requirements. We're going to take some photos of the attachment, hardware and all that kind of thing so that they can put proper blocking in to support that. So hopefully we'll have that in the sanctuary somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where, as well as the old picture that was the picture that was above the altar. So we've got that too. Sir?
Has a civil engineer looked at the plans for the drain field?
Has he looked at the plan?
Has he looked at the plans for the drain field? Well, he knows where the drain field is because we've provided him the location of the drain field.
Well, but the effectiveness of the drain field depends upon not only the slope, but the soil.
Understood.
Has that been looked at yet?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Greenway Engineering did a full drain field exploration where they did test pits, they determined soil types, they went through the whole process required by the health department. That's why we went to them, is because they've got a great bunch of experience. And when I talked to their guy over there, he said, oh yeah, he said there are lots of churches and small commercial things throughout the county that are using well and septic, just because it makes sense. Now, with that said, if you go into a future expansion and you've got, you know, regular church services and you've got hundreds of members and that sort of thing, at some point we're going to have to say, well, we need to get commercial water, we need to get commercial sewer, we need to get, you know, natural gas onto the property and that sort of thing. And so to a certain extent, we're kicking the can down the road a little bit, but in the interest of trying to get something out there that's really functional and is going to work for us for many years, those were the choices we made. So. Any other questions?
Oh, wait, pass. He's heard you on that.
Okay, I just wanted to say, the United Methodist men that were here for years are the ones who brought us to this point on that piece of property. They put in the pavilion, the parking lot, the well, and they cooked many a chicken. Many a chicken gave their life.
And apple butter.
Thanks be to God for chicken. And a lot of them,
And a lot of apples.
yeah, a lot of them are gone, and so just sorry.
We remember.
Well, yeah, and in that regard, what we're going to do, Mark St. Amand is working on this. We are going to get the old the old sign from the downtown church, that's that granite thing where it's right there on the corner of Fairfax Lane and Braddock Street. And we're going to be getting that and having it transported out to the property at some point here. We've lined up some people to get that thing taken apart and take it out there. And we hope to use it maybe in a memorial garden or something like that we can set up out there.
I don't mean to miss anyone, because I know Randy and the whole group, Billy, we've been a long time. And I just, your faithfulness,
Yeah.
very appreciative.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
It's not for me. It's not for me.
Are we going to get to the financials?
Financials of this, the financials.
Yeah.
Like
financial
costs.
I know. Yeah. Well, what would you like to know? Tom, is that something you're going to be covering or no?
You know the total cost, go ahead.
We're looking at an estimate between about $3.5 million for everything. We have about $2.2 million in the bank available right now.
Fantastic.
So,
And that's with having paid for a lot of this
yeah,
preliminary things that have been done.
yeah. I mean, they'll have some additional, architectural expenses because they're not done with their work yet, and so some of those funds will be used to cover that. But, yeah. Okay. Any other questions for right now? Okay.
Behind you, Bob.
Randy, one question, and this kind of goes where Jack was. With the United Methodist Men, we're keeping the shelter in the back for the picnic shelter. Is there any plan to build a little bit larger shed that would be able to house for easier access, like the apple butter churns, and we've got the, hopefully we can get back to the chicken grilling and things like that.
Yeah. We haven't got any specific plans for that right
That's all.
now. But those things are, when you're looking at a budget of $3 to $3.5 million bucks, that other stuff is like piddling in a rainstorm.
Are you volunteering, Bob?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, if you have no more questions for me, I'm going to yield to, who am I yielding to?
Where'd you go?
John.
Oh, there he is.
Well, I'm here, but good. Am I next?
Yeah.
Into the breach.
Here we go. Hello.
I'll just use this, how's that? That works. Hello everyone, I'm Tom Belzoni. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you in worship, but I'm under contract with the Seventh-day Adventist, and they meet on Saturday. So I lead seminars for them on Sunday mornings for about 6 weeks, and so this is in the middle of that particular session, and we're trying to help them with their stewardship and generosity, and I promise you I'm learning a whole lot about Seventh-day Adventists. Stuff I didn't know. And they're learning about me stuff they didn't know. So thank you. I live in Sarasota, Florida. My wife decided to retire when we were living in Dayton, Ohio. It's where she and I have a connection through United Theological Seminary because I was the senior vice president there for a few years. And she said, I'm retiring, and if you want to live with me another 40 years, you're welcome to do so, but it will be in Florida. So I'm the head of my house, so I live in Florida. but I got this accent from Harlan County, Kentucky, because that's where I was born and grew up. And my dad was a minister, and so I was part of church planting Our family planted 3 churches. My dad planted 3 churches, so I understand all you're doing. I've been part of that. He's also a minister. This is an exciting undertaking. I want to applaud you, really, to be where you are with the persistence and consistence that you have undertaken over these past years. Thanks be to God. Now you're there. We're hoping that you're going to break ground in September. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Amen.
I mean, it should make a United Methodist shout. I mean, you've been at this a long time. And from the financial perspective, here's sort of the bottom lines. You've heard the cost. It's going to be in that 3.2 to 3.5 million range. You have, about 2.2 million, give or take, because you're spending some of it already collected. Thank you. So that means what? We need another $1 million. Whew. But we're there. Okay, we're getting there. Here's what your leadership has projected, that if over the next 3 years, meaning within this capital campaign, if we could pledge at least $500,000, they would see their way clear to go ahead and borrow the rest of the money from hopefully the United Methodist Foundation and break ground in September. So shall we say that mark that we want to try to hit is 500,000. Now we will not get upset if we raise $1 million. Because that would mean you would not have to have any long-term type of mortgage, all right? So just want you to get that clear, is $1 million would mean no longer-term mortgage. 500,000 helps you go ahead and open the doors to borrowing to get this done and hopefully be literally occupying your space maybe within another 1.5 years. Wouldn't that be good? Finally. So, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to need some help. My charts are in the back there, Joel, and I think Sean's being a daddy. As a gentleman walked up to me in one church I was helping, and he said, "Tom, tell me what to give." And I said, "Sir, I don't do that." And he looked at me a little strangely, and he said, "Aren't you our fundraiser?" And I said, "Well, I understand what you're saying. It's a worthy profession. I have all the credentials, but I really don't just tell people what to give." He said, "Yeah, but one day I'm thinking 5,000, and the next day I'm thinking 25,000. Well, I'm an ordained minister, so I was adding those two together. That's what ministers do. But I caught myself and tried to tell him something relative to numbers, and I said, "Look, it's obvious to me that neither number makes you happy. And if you're not happy, you're probably not where God wants you to be in giving. Because the Bible does clearly state God loves what kind of giver? Cheerful. Cheerful! I love that. A cheerful giver. And so I told him, I said, I want this to be a happy gift. I want you to feel good about it. So I said, look, here's a chart. And this is the chart you're receiving. His was different. They needed to raise $8 million in their church. Yours is 500,000 at the bottom. Remember those numbers. I said, take this home and go to your easy chair and pray. And then after you pray, look at some of these numbers. And I said, circle some of them. And if none of these numbers give you, and I use this phrase, the spiritual warm fuzzies, then write one out. You see, when you look at this chart, you see, to get to 500,000, I'm projecting, these are my numbers, that we need someone to prayerfully consider giving $100,000.
Have you gotten these?
Someone asked me yesterday, does that mean each year? And I said, if you want to. But obviously, as you look at the chart, you see there's an annual gift and a monthly gift gift, and this is asking you for a 3-year commitment. You go to the middle of the chart, we need 14.4. Now, the reason those numbers might seem a little odd is because I tried to make the monthly gifts even. So just as I told him, if none of these numbers really give you that really fuzzy feeling, write one out. He came back a couple of weeks later. He ran up to me. He said, Tom, I'm going to give. I said, I really don't want to know. He said, you're our fundraiser, I'm going to tell you. He said, I'm going to give 100,000. I'd have never done so if you'd have told me 5 or 25 was okay. And he said, I'm not sure I can afford to give 100,000, but since God laid it on my heart and it makes me happy, God knows something. I call that faith giving. So therefore I call myself a faith raiser, in the sense that I'm just trying to present you with, here's the way I see it relative to you raising $500,000. These are the numbers that I feel it's going to be when we get to the finish line here. These are the type numbers we're going to have to get there. How do we get there? Well, let me just give you some thoughts relative to maybe some creative strategies in giving, and there's a little brochure you have called Creative Strategies in Giving. You don't need to read it right now because I'm going to give you a summary of sort of what's in it. Take this home, but I've had everything imaginable given in a campaign. I talked about in one church giving antiques, and a sweet lady tried to give her husband. But you know, antiques have value. And so you are able to maybe donate something of that nature. I was in a home at the United Methodist Church in Florida, and we were actually doing this type meeting in a home, and I just said, you know, I've had people give paintings like the one behind me. And everybody went, oh man, I've done something really bad here. After the meeting, the couple came up to me and said, are you serious? I said, about what? They said, we could give that painting. And they didn't call it painting, they called it a piece of art. I reminded them that I played football. And I did. I didn't understand the difference. And they said, we've been having challenges with our cash flow, and we wanted to make a very nice gift for our building. And when you said that, we looked at each other. That's paid for. It won't affect our cash flow. I said, well, if you want to donate it, I'll just put it in the car and take it home to the church. And they looked at me sort of strangely. And they said, that's a Picasso. Well, my name was Melzoni. I'm still not connecting the dots. That gift brought in $2 million. Didn't affect the cash flow. What I'm saying is we probably can look around at our homes and maybe find things that we turn money into, antiques, cars. I had an antique Rolls Royce given in one church. It was a gentleman's, I had invested in it for retirement. I just yesterday got a call from a church in Ohio. The gentleman's giving a Model T, is that right? I mean, I don't understand those car things, but he wants to give that to his church. There may be ways that we haven't thought about. Here in Winchester, I told this story yesterday because I thought about it that Friday night. Here in Winchester at a church, I went to be in the parking lot yesterday just to look at it because a number of years ago came and helped them build that building. And a gentleman was just really opposed to their church building and opposed to the campaign, and he was just negative about everything, and he was also one of the main ushers, and as people would come in on Sundays, he would just tell them how bad things were relative to the building program. And I said, Pastor, is there anything we can do to silence him? And he said, I've tried. I said, well, we tried. So we went out to visit him, and I asked him to do this. I said, sir, would you help us, and would you, for the next 5 Sundays, visit other churches in Winchester and just learn what they're doing, and then come back to your pastor and report on how things are going in those churches? He said, you want me to do that? I said, yes. He said, okay. Problem one solved. And so we got to talking a little more, and we went outside, and he owned that farm, and he had some cattle. And I said, you know, in one church in Houston, Texas, I had a gentleman give a bull. And I said, you got a couple of bulls over there. He said, so I could give a bull? This is a true story. This is not a preacher story. This is a true story. And he said, well, I can give a bull. I said, we'll come out this afternoon to get it. I didn't want him changing his mind. So the pastor got some men, and they built, I guess I'm going to call it a bullpen, but they built out in front of the church this place to put that bull. We delivered that bull. The next day was Sunday. People came, and they knew that was that gentleman's bull. Now the pastor changed his sermon title to "What's Your Bull?" And the humor of that, in a very true story, that changed the complexion of that campaign. Because that gentleman gave something of value to him, even though it had been opposed to the campaign. And it became a catalyst. We're not talking about equal gifts when it comes to these dollars, but we're talking about equal sacrifice, and I don't know what that means for you. I mean, you're a great, wonderful, close family, and I do not know what an equal sacrifice means for you. But as you look around, you may have a lot that you purchased. You own a lot somewhere, and you no longer have plans for it. Maybe you donate that lot. I mean, there are ways. I had a second home given from a couple in Michigan on Sanibel Island in Florida. And I said to them, well, absolutely, your church will take this. The only thing is the consultant has to stay in it for 2 weeks just to make sure it's okay. But you know, we probably all have things in our lives that we purchased that maybe we have it for the purpose of helping build our church. Just want you to think about that. If you're in my age range, and most of you seem to be, you know, we have those RMDs, required minimum distributions, and this year we can give up to $111,000 to a charity. If we, you know, that's what we can do. I think it's a great tool because you're not. It counts as your RMD, but you're not taxed on it. That's a pretty good deal. Also remember that this is a 3-year commitment, but it covers 4 tax years. So that may help you think in terms of your commitment to this, is that you've got 4 tax years in which to give this, and that may help you be able to stretch. And the reason I mention that is it's going to require stretch. I mean, look, you have 60 or 70 people in your congregation, and to raise $500,000, it's a big number. But if we all stretch, I'm confident we can get there. South Harpersville United Methodist Church in Ashtabula County, Ohio, one of my favorite churches. They had about 40 in attendance, and we led them in their campaign. And they entered their building in 3 years. They were mortgage free. They raised almost $900,000 from that little congregation. You see, when God's in something and people really become creative after they prayed, then things can occur. There's a card. We're not asking you to fill this card out today, but you always know there's a card. People always ask me, when do I get my card? Not that they really want it, but they're always asking, when do I get my card? I want you to look at it because really there's some lines on there that may not be relevant to you. And I'm one of those type A's, and I want to fill out every line. But some of these lines may not be relevant. The most important line, besides your name, and you don't even have to sign this, there's a signature line, but you don't have to sign it. We don't have any campaign police coming after you. But you see the middle of the card, there's a little rectangular box. And if all you want to do is put your 3-year total or put your grand total, thank you. That's really what we're looking for. The other lines are just maybe ways that can help your church know how they can expect to receive the money because of loans and payments and those type of things. So that's why those lines are critically important. I like to close with one of my special churches because I was born in Harlan County. The next county over is Bell County, home of Kentucky Fried Chicken. First United Methodist Church, Corbin, Kentucky. Church, just a little larger than you, but they also were relocating from downtown Corbin. And after I looked at their numbers and a feasibility study, which you went through with Scott McKenzie, who's a really good friend of mine. That's just one other. It's going up. This is going to come. Anyway, I will do my best. You went through the study. I did a study for them, and I came back to them. And because I was born in the county next to them, I could say it this way. I said, "You're crazy. You guys are nuts to do this." And they said, "Tom, we may be nuts, but we believe God's called us to do it. Will you help us?" I said, "Absolutely. As long as you understand through my lenses, this is a huge, almost unbelievable, maybe undoable project." Because there was 27% unemployment in the county. Poverty. We went through a number of these meetings. There were some advanced commitments made by some leaders. A gentleman walked in one day and he started sharing this story. He said, "Pastor, you know, I've been unemployed for 2 years. And the people of this church know I will not take a handout. So I painted a couple of their homes 3-4 times. He said they just didn't like the color. He said, I'd rake their leaves and it seems like the leaves would reappear overnight. And he said, every Sunday, I had 4 offering envelopes, one for my son, for my daughter, my wife, and me. And I would deposit 1/10 of what I earned that week into those envelopes because that first 10 belonged to God. And we prayed over it. And we've been praying what we could do for this campaign. I promise you at that moment I wanted to reach over and say, don't do a thing. Don't do a thing. But he said, we've been praying. And he said, we're going to do our best to give $2 a week. And we've each given something of value. We walked out in the hallway, there was a little red wagon that caught my attention because I had one when I was a child, and it was a doll from the daughter, a nice piece of jewelry from mom, and a tool. That's how he earned his living. Fast forward, you could add all that up, and we probably would sell it for maybe $700-800 at the time. What does that compare to $1.7 million, $1.8 million humanly? See, God's economy is different. We set that up on the platform the next day, or that week on that Sunday, and we shared the story. And some people walked up to the pastor and said, we've already made a commitment. One gentleman said, I already gave $50,000, Pastor. I'm going to double that because I want my gift to be equal in value to theirs. That's the challenge of church. All gifts are important. All gifts are looked upon by God as a joyful, wonderful gift. And that's your challenge, because I want to come back here either at groundbreaking or somewhere in the future when it's paid off. And I want to celebrate with you like I did them, because they relocated and they paid off their building in 3 years. Pardon? Oh, the gold rush story, yeah. I'll just add this since she's in charge. Gold is now $5,000 an ounce. And if we went to our jewelry boxes, we'd find cufflinks, tie tacks, bracelets, that all of them have some level of gold in them. I had a church recently that did a gold rush Sunday. And they asked people, just bring those items. And they did. And a jeweler, they worked with a jeweler, and the jeweler gave them something like $25,000 for all they brought that day. Didn't affect any of their cash flows, and sort of cleaned out their closets for some of them. There's creative ways of making this happen. First, United Methodist Winchester, thank you. You're going to do this for the glory of God. I'm excited about groundbreaking and getting this done. Pastor Sean.
Thank you, Tom. Friends, I think you've got plenty of information for your brains, so I'm not going to add any more. I do want to tell you thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to hear about the facility, to hear some of the creative ways that we can be able to finance this facility. The one thing I will ask of all of us is to pray. All these papers that we have, all these numbers we can look at, all the beautiful drawings that are behind us that reflect the journey we've been on, I want you to pray each day. Because God has led us this far and God has led us too far to turn back now. So whatever it is that you feel on your hearts to contribute to this, however you feel like you are being led to participate, know that we are grateful for you, grateful for this community of faith that we have, and grateful to see what God is leading us towards. We all pray. God, we give you thanks because we know we are not defined as a church by the place in which we inhabit. We are your church wherever we happen to find ourselves, whether it's here or somewhere else in this world. What we give thanks for is the opportunity we have to create a space where people can come to know you, where people can come with their fears, their darkest valleys, come with all the things that have challenged them and hear about a God of hope, a God of grace, and a God that sees them as people of sacred works. For all the individual journeys that we are on, we give you thanks that you are the one that has brought us together. Lead us together as we go from this space and until we come together again. We love you. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all very much. There is some food left over there if you'd like it. So thank you. If you have anyone who wants to look at stuff, you'll do that too.